How do you write a thesis statement? In this lesson, you will learn how to generate a precise claim by analyzing your text and notes for reasons and evidence. The prompt we're responding to is, after reading Up From Slavery, Chapter 1, write a multiple paragraph essay that asserts how Washington's use of rhetoric shows his perception and positioning of audience. Support your position with evidence while considering a counterclaim. Now, in terms of the writing process, you'll remember that it begins with reading and closely analyzing. Then we generate and plan. The third step is to draft and revise. And at the end of the process, you're editing and publishing. Right now, we're at the generating and planning stage. You'll also remember that when we close read a text, it means to read it 2 to 3, maybe even more times. And as we close read it, we're analyzing it for its literary elements. We're also going to remember that the purpose of Chapter 1 from Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington is to ameliorate the bitterness between black and white people in a post-slavery society. Let's think then about argumentative writing. Let's remember that to write argumentatively is to collect and evaluate evidence and then to argue a claim. A claim is a statement of something as a fact, an assertion of truth. It's the main gist of your paper. And in order to make it precise, which you definitely want to do, you need to make sure that your claim is clearly and specifically expressed or defined. So step 1 is to annotate and simplify the prompt. Step 2 is to review your notes and the text. Step 3 is to answer the prompt in one clear and precise sentence. And step 4 is to compare your answer to the original prompt to make sure it's complete. So step 1, annotate and simplify the prompt. So as I look over the prompt, this is what we've just looked at. I'm going to highlight the words that stand out to me. So Washington's use of rhetoric, already that sings out to me as something that I'm going to need to do in order to write this task, in order to respond to this prompt. This word perception and positioning of audience, those two ideas sing out to me as important. And then certainly this last idea about a counterclaim, that seems important as well. So in order to simplify it, I'm going to just write down one question. So I'm going with, how does Washington's rhetoric show his perception of and positioning of audience? Step 2 is then to review my notes and the text. So I'm looking now over notes that I took when I was first reading over Chapter 1 and the different things that I've circled and the notes that I jotted down. I'm especially looking for the main ideas that I had in my prompt, in my simplified prompt. So I was highlighting in the prompt the word rhetoric and looking at how rhetoric shows perception and positioning of audience. So I'm especially on the hunt for things that show me for evidence that shows me anything to do with his perception and positioning of audience. And I'm just keeping that all in my brain, fresh at the top of my head. Questions I might have as I'm doing this is, what do my notes show me about rhetoric, about Washington's perception and positioning of audience? Step 3 then, with all those ideas floating in my head, is to answer the prompt in one clear and precise sentence. Don't worry too much about making this sentence beautiful, just try to get it out there. So my question was, how does Washington's rhetoric show his perception of and positioning of audience? And here I go. In order to answer it, I like to use the stem of the question in order to start my answer. So Washington uses rhetoric to show that he sees his audience, and here I'm going just off the cuff, to show that he sees his audience as divided racially, and he positions them together against slavery. And that's just from reading over all the ideas that I had already highlighted. Those are just what I got floating in my head so far. Step 4 then is to compare your answer to the original prompt to make sure that it's complete. So here's the prompt highlighted, here's my draft thesis statement, and sure enough I've got rhetoric in my answer. I've got something about his perception of the audience, and then I've got something about his positioning of the audience. Now I don't have anything about the counterclaim yet, but I'm making a note to myself to make sure that when I start writing my essay, I do address that. So in this writing process, you see we're working on generating and planning. That's the stage that we are right now. You can see that we've just annotated and simplified the prompt. We've reviewed our notes and the text. We answered the prompt in just one clear and precise sentence, and then we compared our answer to the original prompt to make sure that it's complete. In this lesson, you have learned how to generate a precise claim by analyzing your text and notes for reasons and evidence.